Oh, what are you doing? He just wants to be on. Right, how's it going? It's good. Good. Okay. Wayne is sick, so he won't be joining us. So it's just us holding it down.
Sounds
Oh,
like a
wow, that was
plan.
weird. My picture went sideways. Wait, stop it. Oh, jeez. How do I move it? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, cool. Any questions about what we went over so far? All good? Okay. All right, cool. So today we'll just kind of go over this real quick and then we'll build out the post and the put route. So the creating a new expense and then updating an expense. And that will probably take our hour. And then Saturday, we'll have you guys coding and creating all the categories and some other things like that to get you in there and making more expenses and all that good stuff too. Yeah. So, oh, did I start? Oh, I'm recording. Okay, cool. All right, good. Cool. So, ignore that this says week 3. I did not update that. So Supabase, as we know, is what we were using. This is like our database. We can do authentication with it, a bunch of other cool stuff. Currently, we're just using it for our database. It is a Postgres SQL database. Um, there's a bunch of different kind of SQL databases. They're all relational meaning that they relate to each other. Um, so like a user, well, I don't know, it's a bad example. Our expenses have categories, right? And so we're going to end up making a category table. So we could not have like hard coded categories here. We would have just IDs, like category ID, that would then relate to the category table that would have the different categories in it. That way it's more dynamic and you can update the category table anytime you want without having to come in here and really update this. And you just grab the IDs. So that's why it's relational as opposed to a non-relational database, which is sort of like a big object, basically like a JavaScript object. They're called collections typically. We won't be messing with any of those, but it is good to know the difference in relational versus non-relational. So any version or flavor of SQL is going to be relational. So it's going to have those relations. So we're using PostgreSQL. There is regular SQL, which is Microsoft's version. Um, and then there's MySQL, which is kind of the open source-ish version. That's what we use at work. And then Postgres is very similar to MySQL. The only real difference is that Postgres itself, which is used within here, within Superbase, uh, does a lot more stuff. Like all of this stuff that it's doing, the authentication, all this is under like the Postgres uh, flag, if you will. So the Postgres SQL bit is what we're messing with within the editor. So just know Postgres very powerful, can do a lot of stuff. Right now we're like just barely touching the surface. Okay. Let's do what else we got. We know that we are using a JavaScript library um, to talk to our database through Postgres, through um, Superbase. So the library, again, when we made it, we put it nicely in our little DB folder in our Superbase. So this is the library that we're using for the package. And this is what gives us that connection to our database through Superbase. Okay. And then it's free to a point. So that's good. So it's good. Again, it's got authentication that we're going to use later on. Cool. All right. We already set it up. We know how that works. We get our keys and all that stuff, which we did last week. We created our table, which our table, is like an Excel document. We have our columns and then our rows. So if we look right here, I have one. There it is. Move this out of the way. Go over there. Okay. So this is our table here. It's our expense table because we did select all from expense. So we have our columns, ID, description, amount, category, date, and then each row. So that's all that little bit is saying. It's kind of how a table is laid out. We installed the client, which we looked at a little bit ago. We connected to it with our environment variables that we got, which we use those. Go back over here again. Oh, nope, not that guy. That's a different guy. In our code. So we have our .env file where we store these environment variables, and then we can use them in our code using that .env package, and then using our process.env, and then the name of that environment variable to access that. Okay. Again, environment variables are good, so you can store keys and stuff and not just expose them directly in your code because then people can do bad things. And then they also help us with if we're in different environments and we have different variables for the different environments like dev versus prod, development versus production, then we can change them in here and then have point to different things. Okay. Okay, just talked about that. Create the env. And we always remember to put it in the git ignore, right? Because we don't want that actually put up on GitHub because then anybody could go and see it. Even if your repos are private, they could still probably get in there and see it. So you never want to put envs anywhere that anybody can see. Okay. We talked a little bit about CRUD. So create, read, update, delete. That's the big four that you'll do with databases and with REST APIs. So the get, the put, push, nope, get, post, push, nope, put, and delete. Same thing, just different names. So we made our routes, like we had our get route for expenses, just to get all of our expenses. And then we had the select one where we would pass the ID parameter in there, and that would give us one. You leaving? Stand by.
Yeah,
Okay.
have so much fun.
Okay, bye-bye. She's going to pickleball. So, yeah, not taking me. That's okay. All right. Okay, so we got select one where we pass the ID in as a parameter, and then it would look for which one equaled the ID column, the parameter that we passed in, right, to find that one. And then we had our insert, or we didn't do an insert yet. We're going to do an insert, which that's going to be our create is our insert, right? And then we're going to do an update, which is our put. We haven't done that yet. And then we did do a delete, which is pretty much exactly like the get one, except for it's going to be app.delete instead of app.get, but we're passing the ID and just saying delete it if the ID equals the thing we put in, right? So, not bad. And finally, some query filters that we did. So any query you do, you're going to say like whatever from the table name, right? And then dot whatever you're going to do. So in this case, we're all looking from our expenses table. We want to select star, which means all. And then the query or the filter of it is this dot equals, right? So if category uh, column equals food, then that's the ones we want to get back. This one, this is a .gt, that means greater than. So this would bring back from the expenses table everything that where the amount column is greater than 100. Okay. And then this one is just an order. So do an order, and you can order it by the created at column, so the date that's in there. And then they're going to do ascending false. So it's going to be in a descending way instead of an ascending way. And then this one just limits your results. So you can say limit 10. So it's only going to give you like, no matter how many records it actually pulls back, it's just going to give you the first 10. You can change that to 100, 1,000, whatever. So there's a bunch more, but this is just an example of some of the different categories that you can do. My dog's going to bark really loud. There he goes. Told you. Hey. Okay, I may have to put him out. Okay, I'm going to put him out. Be right back. Hey, outside. Come on. Come on. Let's go tell him. Come on. Okay, they're cutting into my hour. All right, cool. Yeah, so there's a bunch more of these. Easy enough to just jump in Claude or your chat or whoever and say, hey, tell me about these different filters, you know. Let's see. So common mistakes. If the data is null, then the query is going to fail. It'll probably give you an error object and say, hey, there's nothing there. Columns not found. If you try to search for columns not there, then you're not going to get anything back. If your env is undefined, then it may be because you're missing that package, that .env package. So make sure that's there. And this one is a good one. If you do an insert, which we'll do an insert today, and it returns null, then it means you didn't put the select on the end, which basically, and we'll get into this, but when you do an insert, you want to put the select so that way you get the ID of whatever you inserted and back. That kind of confirms, okay, the insert did take place. So we'll get into that. Okay, that was fast. Any questions? Nope. All right. Let's get back into the code. Where'd my code go? Okay, so let's get rid of this guy. I did add a new script to our package JSON scripts. I added this dev script because I figured out how to actually use Nodemon. Um, so Nodemon is what allows you to make changes to your server and not kill it for it to take the changes, like to update the changes. So, for example, if I bring up my server, so I've already got it running, but I'm gonna kill it. So now, to run anything in your scripts um, object here, you do npm run and then whatever this is, right? So like when we did seed, we did npm run seed, and it would run this command here. Okay. So if I do npm run dev, which is this new one that I made, it's going to run this nodemon command. And what that's going to do, you'll see it has this nodemon is watching. So it's watching the server for any changes. So if I go into my server here, and if we watch the terminal, then, and if I'm just going to type something random here, but you'll see the terminal, see how it refreshed there? And it gave me a nice error. So that anytime you make a change, it's going to just automatically grab it. So we don't have to kill it and restart it each time. You definitely don't have to use Nodemon. I typically don't a lot of the time. But you do have to remember to restart your server because then you're going to be like, why is nothing changing? Because you didn't restart your server. So it can be helpful if you're doing a lot, like building out a lot of routes and you're like, I don't want to start it every time. So we already did bring it in our package JSON. If you look in your dependencies, uh, our dev dependencies. We did bring it in here already, so it's there if you want to use it. Again, you just got to add this package here, and I'll put, or sorry, script here, and I'll put this in the Slack so you can have that added dev script. Okay, cool. Okay, so it's running. That's fantastic. So now let's just test some of the routes we made before. Um, let's see. We'll just test the basic get route right here. So if you remember, we'll just kind of walk through this. It's a get route. So remember, we have the get, post, put, and delete, right? Those are our REST or those are our HTTP methods. Okay. So get is just for getting stuff. I mean, that's the easiest one. So we're not going to pass it any parameters. We're not going to pass any sort of data body to it or anything like that. Rect body. We're just going to just hit this route, and then it's going to, whatever is in here is what it's going to do. Get out of here. Hey, stop it. Okay. Whatever it's in here is what it's going to do, and then it's going to return back what we tell it to return back. Okay. One thing to note that I may not have mentioned last time, like this doesn't have to be a database call. Like this can be anything you want it to be. So if you have a route that's like um, add two numbers, like we could literally have like get route. Might as well just do this for fun. Um, we could say add two plus two, and then in our um, callback function, there you go. That's what it's called. So we'll have our rec and our res, our request and our response, right? Then we could do let sum equal 0, 0. Oh, that's not 0, 0. And then do sum equals 2 plus 2. You could have just done then the first sum. I don't know why I put a 0, but it's fine. And then we could just return sum, right? So like this is just JavaScript that we literally could have done on the front end, whatever. You're probably not going to do this, but you could make a route that just handles something, right? It doesn't necessarily have to go to a database. I just wanted to make that clear because I know we're doing a lot of database calls. And so now if we get our terminal up here, I'll just do one on the bottom here. We'll put a new one. And if we do our curl, so what's our curl look like? Let me see. I don't need, that's too complicated. Okay. If we get our curl, so we'll do curl. Um, because it's a get, you don't have to put get, it just understands it. But you could put dash X get and then your route. So HTTP local host 3000. Oh, I'm on 3001 actually. If I look at my env, 3001. So make sure that's right. And then slash add to plus two. So this should return us the sum. Let's see if I did it. Did I break it? I may have broke it. Let's see if I broke it. Nothing in my server. Oh, because I'm doing return. So that is one key thing to remember. Return doesn't send it back, doesn't send the response back. Like that's the entire point of this response parameter is to send it back. So unlike just a regular function on the front end, you actually have to return the response. So if you remember down here, like we did rest.json data, that's the kind of thing we need. So we could do rest.send, which just sends a string back. Or we could do rest.json and put it in curly brackets. But if we just do rest.send and then do the sum, then this should work a little bit better, I think. And you can see here that it gave an empty reply because it was like, yeah, I don't know what you're trying to do. This didn't work. So let's try it again. There you go. So we got 4. So it sent us back the correct thing. It did the little parentheses thing or percentage. That's just something that terminal does. It's got nothing to do with our server. It just makes it look funky. So don't worry about that. But so as you can see, you can literally just have any route you want, have it do something, and then send you back a response right when it's done. So a lot of times you'll do this kind of for bigger tasks that might take a little bit. So let's say your user, well, we're doing expense thing, right? So let's say they wanted like the whole year's expenses, like a summary of them, right? You could have a route like sum up all expenses, and then, well, I guess that's when you get them from the database. But let's just say you got them from the front end, right? So then that's going to take a while to do. So you could do that, and then while it's happening back here, the user can go on and whatever do their thing, and then when it's done, say you like you had a PDF they could download or whatever, something like that, right? So that's an expensive task, as we would say. It's going to take a while. So you could have a route that's going to handle that, so the user's not sitting there for 5 minutes, like waiting to get this thing back. So, yeah. So I hope that hammers the point home. It's not all about the database. There's a lot more you can do in here. It's not all the database. So, cool. So, okay. I'll just leave that there for fun. Okay, now back to the database because that's what we are doing. We'll go ahead and do our post route and our put route. For the post route, I already have it here, so you didn't have to watch me type it out brutally. So let's kind of walk through it. So it's a post route, like we said, so app.post. And you remember app is our actual Express server. So remember we got that at the top here when we required Express, and then we made an instance of that Express server in our app variable, which allows us to do all this app.get and all that stuff. Okay, just a little refresh for you there. Okay, cool. So there's kids riding their bikes back and forth, and he's just having a cow out there. Okay. All right. So app.post, because we're doing post method, it's still going to hit our expenses um, endpoint, which you may remember that our get also just hit our expenses endpoint right here. So don't let that confuse you. This is a get, right? App.get. We're doing an app.post. So they can have the same endpoint and do entirely different things. Okay. And that confused me a lot in the beginning because I was like, this needs to be like expense post or something. Nope. the difference in the post and the get is what the reason you can use the same thing. And this is very standard REST way to do it is for them to use the um, same endpoint. Cool. So in the endpoint, we're going to be passing data in. Okay. So this is different than the parameter because the parameter, remember, would be like ID, like here, actually in the endpoint URL. In this case, we're going to pass it in as JSON as a body, our request body, our rec body. And we're going to destructure it here. So this request body that's sent from our front end or from our curl in our example will have these keys already in it. And I'll show you in this curl. This is the curl we're going to be sending. You can see in the data, the dash little d, we have description, amount, category, and date. So that's where it's getting these so it can destructure them. Okay. You could literally do like const description equals rec dot body dot description. And then const amount, rec dot body dot amount, const category. Like you could do them all one by one. There is no I don't want to say benefit. Either way is right. Okay. This way obviously looks much cleaner and it's one line, but I mean we don't pay per line of code, so whichever way makes it make more sense in your head, like do it that way. But yeah, so this rec.body is literally this object right here that we're bringing down here. So like I said, you can bring it, bust them out one by one, or you know that what's coming in just to get them all at one time. Okay, let me get rid of that. Cool. So once we have all our variables out here, we can then query our database, right? So everything you do to a database is called a query, even if you're not actually like questioning it, you know? So if you're inserting it in, it's an insert query. If you're deleting, it's a delete query. So just it's kind of weird, but it's always a query. So in this case, we're doing an insert, right? It's post route. We're giving it something we want it to put in the database. So just like every other one, we're going to use our Supabase instance here, right? And this is what we got when we created our client over here. We got this awesome little Supabase instance that we could use, and we exported it. And so then we imported it up here at the top, right here, or required it. And required and import, same thing. So then we can start using that to actually access our database. So let me get back down there. Okay. So we are gonna await it. So remember async await. This is our promise thing. Promise, I can't think of the word, but this is what tells it, hey, this may take a little bit of time. So I promise I'm gonna send you a response. You just may have to wait a little bit. And so async allows us to set up the await in the function. Okay. It has to be an async function. And you'll know because anytime if you go to use await and you don't have async, then it'll get mad. So if we ran this, it would give us an error and say you can't use await without async. So it will let you know. Okay, so we're using await Supabase, and then we're saying from what table? So from our expenses table, what do we want to do? We want to insert. And what do we want to insert? We want to insert these. We want to insert this data into these columns. Okay. So we have a description column, an amount column, a category column, and a date column. So we're going to write this different in a minute, but I think what it's saying is kind of like the destructuring. It knows the names of these columns. We could do it like description column, and this may be wrong syntax. We'll fix it in a second. And then like description, right? Not like that. Nope, that's testing. But we could write out the variable name and what it is, right? So we could specify. So if you want to, so if you like didn't want to pass in the date, but you wanted to use a different date, do like date and then like put in a date here, right? And I'll show you this in a minute. It'll make more sense. Right now, what it's doing, because everything matches, it's just literally uh, destructuring it here and then like destructuring it here. Okay. Um, so that's our insert. So that's what we're going to insert into the database. And then we want, like I was saying a little bit earlier, we want to make sure we select the record when it's done. So that way we know that it did insert. And that's what this select.single means. It's saying, all right, insert it, then go ahead and select it, but just that one record. So just the one. If you don't do this, it'll give you an array. Even if it's just one ID, it'll give you an array. Okay. Make sense? Cool. Okay. And then it's doing the data and the error like we saw before. So we know that this will return us a data object and an error object. If it does return an error object, we want to handle that, which means something went wrong, probably didn't save in the database. We're going to return a 500 status, which means server error. And then whatever the error message is, we're going to return that as well as JSON. And then if it is successful, then we'll get down here. So remember that this return, like this cuts it off, right? So we're never going to get here if we go into this if statement. Another little thing, you may notice there's no curly brackets with this if statement. So this is just an inline if, which you can do. You could also have written it like if error, blah, 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 right? Like this is the exact same thing as this. This is just because we know it's only going to do this one thing if error is true. So we don't really need the brackets for that, but you absolutely can have them. Okay, cool. So if there's not an error, then we're going to come in here, say 201 successful, and then send them back the data as JSON. Okay. All right, so let's run this curl and see what it does. Okay, let me clear this. So this curl is very similar to what we've seen. Started with curl, right? And then the dash X because we're going to pass it which HTTP method we're going to use. So we're going to use post. And then our URL, it's not quoting it. You can, and I mean, sometimes you have to, but in those instances, something will error and you'll figure it out. Sometimes you don't have to. I do need to update the port because it says 3000, but I'm on 3001. So let me update that. One. And then remember expenses is the endpoint that we're hitting, right? The endpoint. And that's we got right here, expenses, and it is a post. So we know we got post right there. We have to tell it the content type that we are sending to it, which 99% of the time is going to be application JSON because we're sending JSON. Sometimes you'll send like let's say you were doing some like Excel manipulation or something. You may send an Excel document. Sometimes you may send an image. Like let's say you're doing like an AI image, I don't know, something or other. You may send an image, so this is going to be different. But for the most part, application.json is, or application/JSON is going to be the main one that you're going to do. And it's dash capital H for header. So that way you know to do that. And then, oh, these lines, by the way, at the end, this is just how you can do multi-line terminal anything. So if you don't just want to keep it all in one line where it just kind of blurs all together, you can put these backslashes and then just kind of go down the line. Sometimes I've noticed with AI that it'll give me some curl and stuff that when I just paste it in, it's jacked up. So you'll have to kind of go through and make sure it's all correct and in line or just delete them all. So just be aware of that. Okay, and then the actual data that we're sending is dash D, little d for data. And then it's going to be a string because everything you pass to your server is a string. So from your front end, if you remember when we were passing stuff from the form to the JavaScript, like it was a string, same thing going from your front end to your back end. It needs to be a string. And so that's why we're putting the quotes around the object. Okay. Um, in our front end code, we'll actually use JSON.stringify to do this, but this is not JSON. So, well, it is JSON, I'm sorry, but this is not our code. This is like just in the terminal. So we just use the quotes, but just so you know. All right, so the body that we're sending is going to be this object, which is description. What is description key with new coffee value? Description, or I'm sorry, amount key with 450 value, category key, food value, date key with the date, right? So it's just an object, just like we learned last module. Okay, so if this is correct, and if I hit the route right and everything goes fine, then it should return me, it should create the record in the database and then return to me the ID of the record that was created with a success message, I think. Perhaps, maybe, we'll see. Okay, so let me go to my database real quick and just make sure. So I did my select all. Let me run this. Okay, so it's new coffee as description, and I do not see one right now. So let's go and run it. Wrong one. There we go. And see what happens. Okay. So we got back an ID. Okay, so it actually gave me back the entire database entry because it gave me the ID, description, new coffee, amount for fit 4.5, category, and date. So now if we go back and we run in this again, then we should see at the bottom, there it is, our new record, right? So we got our ID, description, amount, category, date. Beautiful. And you probably noticed that it took a second, right? Like it wasn't instant that we saw that finish there. If we didn't have our async await there, then something could have happened before it came back that would have messed something up. So for instance, if you're whenever we get to the front end, we'll want to display, like say we want to display all of our expense list. If we run code to refresh the list before the database gets finished, we're not going to get that newest record because we didn't give it the time to refresh and actually get it done. So the whole promise async await thing is very important because stuff takes time. Okay. All right. Questions? Nothing? Makes sense so far? Cool. Okay. All right. Then we'll just move on to put. So put, very similar to our insert. Well, it's kind of like our insert and our post put together, right? So our not our insert and our post are the same thing. It's similar to like looking at one record and up and post like at the same time because you're going to pass the ID parameter just like we would whenever we want to just look at one record, get one record. And then also we're going to pass our body so we can update that record. Okay. So it's kind of like the two just kind of squish together. So we'll just walk through it. So it's app.put expenses slash ID, which is that's going to be the same, like I said, as like this one here, get specific expense, same endpoint. But again, this is a get and that's a put, right? So two different methods. Okay. We are going to get our rec.body again. We're going to destructure it same way as we did up there. And again, you could do rec description equals rec.body.description amount, rec.body.amount if you wanted to. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. So once we have it, I would recommend always like console logging this here so that you can see what it is when it comes in. I won't do it right now, but um, it's super helpful because you're going to get down here and be like, oh, it didn't insert right or update right or whatever. If you can see what's coming in, it always helps. I do that every day just to make sure I see kind of what's coming in to what I'm going to update with. Um, yeah, okay. So then we're going to do our database stuff. So again, we're going to use our Supabase instance from expenses table. And then we're going to do a dot update this time instead of a dot insert. And we are going to pass it again, just everything that um, we're passing from our curl into there. Um, the big difference being we now have our dot equals again, so we can make sure that the ID column matches that ID parameter that we passed in there, right? And then we're going to do the select single again because we are updating it. We want to get back the ID so we can see, okay, successfully updated. Yep, and then same thing with the error. If there is an error, we're going to return 500 and say, hey, something happened. And then if not, then we're going to return the data and we're good. Cool. So let's grab this curl and get our up here. Clear that out. All right, again, I got to fix my, oh, where'd it go? Okay. Do you see how I pasted it and there's like spots, random spots everywhere? Like the whole line here. This is what can happen sometimes when you just copy and paste in the terminal. So, and if you push up too many times, it takes you back to your previous thing. So, a little annoying. But in this case, let's see. Put 3001. I'm going to fix my spaces here. Put that back there. And then get rid of this space here. Some of them might not matter. It might have worked anyway, but better safe than sorry. Okay. And then I think this ID is wrong. Let me see. Yeah. No. No, that's right. Okay. So we're gonna update this record. So let's go look at it first. And I recommend this if possible, I should say. If you can see the data before you update it, that way you can confirm that it did get updated how you wanted it to. Sometimes you won't be able to because you'll just have like API access or something and you won't be able to actually see the data. But if you can, try to look at it. So in this case, we're going to look at this record. So we're going to say select all star from expenses where ID, because I'm looking at the ID column, ID equals, and then this is a string. I'm going to put it in quotes here. And semicolon. The semicolon is not, I don't think it's required in PostgreSQL. In regular SQL, I'm pretty sure it's required. So it's a good habit to be in, but I don't think it hurts if you don't have it. So just, Okay, so select all from expenses where ID equals this. We're going to run selected, and then it's going to give us back just this single record. So this is what we're going to update. Go back to our curl. So we're going to change it to a Hulu subscription. Right now it's Netflix, and the price will change. And then these two, I think, are the same. So we'll go ahead and run that and see. Okay, I got it. Oh, I got a malformed input. Okay, so if you get a big HTML file back from your curl, something's wrong. So it says right here, curl URL rejected malformed input. So the reason is because of what I pasted, because this is still, it's kind of jacked up in the way it's like set out. So I'm going to clear this again, and I'm going to push up here, and we can see, so we have our curl, our -x, our put, and then we have our URL. So it looks fine, but I think that there's just extra spaces all about. So what I'm going to do, oops. Yeah, see like all this space that I'm going through right now, like all this is wrong. Should not be that space. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a delete like a bunch of times till that H comes up. Could have highlighted it, I guess. But okay, maybe I'm going to highlight it. Okay. Oh, oh, wrong way. Together. Oh, you can't click in your terminal. I always do that. Okay. Yeah, so all this extra space is just not not liking it. So I'm gonna get this D over here. Oh, geez, I didn't mean to hit enter. Hold on. Yeah, so at times like these, I just get rid of like the lines and the spaces and put it all in one line just to make it clear. So let's see. So I'm gonna go here and just get rid of that slash, and then I'm gonna go here and just back this up all the way to here. Okay. So now it's all in one line. There's no slashes to put on separate lines. Should be fine. So let's see. Okay, so that worked. So we got the ID back. Description Hulu amount for 14.5. So now we can go look at our database, run the same query, and we should see this description and amount update. And we did. Hulu description 14.5. You don't have to pass all the columns when you update. You can just pass one. So if we do, let's say, oh, not that guy. Let's say, let's just go up and we'll just pass a new description this time. Let me get rid of all this. So let's say, I don't know, Dish Network, something old. Okay. So this should work fine. It should just update the one. If you have Dish Network, I didn't mean that offensively. Anyway, sorry. But it should just update that. So cool. Okay, so it did. Let's go check our database. And there you go, Dish Network. Cool. Okay. Let me go back over here. Okay. Yeah, that was most of it. Took most of our time as I expected. Um, that's really the main ones. Like I said, there's like 12 um post methods or methods, HTTP methods. Let's see. Yeah, there's like head, connect, options, trace, patch. Never used any of those ever. I've only ever used get, post, really put and delete, only really for boot camp. Um, I probably should have used them professionally because it definitely is better because they're there for a reason. Um, but when you take over somebody else's code, you kind of just got to roll with what you got. But um, yeah, so get those four. Like if you know those four, I mean, you're gonna be way ahead of anybody with a computer science degree. I'll tell you that. Um, but there are a bunch. So obviously they made them for a reason, and I don't know, maybe you get a job where you need more. But as long as you understand the basics of what they do and how to use them in an API route and everything, then good to go. Uh, okay, questions? Nothing? It's ready to get your hands dirty, start making the routes. Okay. I did put in the Slack. Let me go over here. Go over there. I'll put those two routes as well. I'll paste them in here so you can see them. And I did add the debug and read code in the week 2 spots there, so you can check those out. Um, now I feel like I was faster than I needed to be. Oh well. We will do the 2 weeks in between 3 and 4 and 4 and 5 modules. So that'll be good. Assuming y'all are sticking around, I hope for those. Cool, awesome. Is it it's just us? Derek's not on today either, so it's okay. I know he's excited to start teaching because he loves React and Next, and yeah, he's a great teacher too. Um, yeah. So let's see, what else can I tell you in 13 minutes? Um, yeah, I don't know. Like that was all I got today. That was way too fast. So nothing, no questions, nothing.
Not off the top of my head.
No. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to jip you at any time, but I mean, I guess if y'all are good, then
I'm pretty good. I really have enjoyed this module so far. It's really
awesome.
like capturing my brain and I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
Sweet. Awesome.
I agree. It's made more sense to me so far. Like it's more
Mhm.
intuitive to me than JavaScript.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that means exactly. But if that is not a good sign or
No, that's
what.
great.
But
Great. And just remember, it is JavaScript. Like everything we're doing is still JavaScript. So it's all functions, it's all variables, all that stuff. Once we get into the loops and everything, not the loops, I'm sorry, into the methods, and we're doing other things, like we're going to be doing loops and we're going to be doing variables and uh, algorithms, if you will. Like a lot of the stuff we were doing on the front end, um, we're going to do here instead, because this is the workhorse. Like this is where this stuff should happen. The front end should really be about like just grabbing those elements that you want to mess with and then kind of passing that work off to the server to do the work and then sending it back over. That's kind of the mental model, I guess you could say. So you don't get away from JavaScript. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's good though. Yeah, I think well, I was gonna say it's common, but I don't think it's common that people typically, if they don't like module 2, then they really don't like module 3. So even if module 2 may not click fully yet, the fact that you like this is good. It means just as it starts popping off, then um, yeah, it's all just gonna click, and you're gonna be like, holy crap, I can do all this stuff. It's amazing. So it's good. Yeah, you have good motivation. I like it. So I have no more words of wisdom. So,
here's a question about the sixth module.
yeah.
Um, you had said that you give us so do you guys give us a project that we are supposed to do, or how does that work?
So normally it would be like, so last year we had 7 people. So everybody would come up with a topic and we'd vote on them. And then whichever one's got the highest votes, we'd have two. We had two because we had 7 people. Or do we have three? We may have had three. I can't remember. Um, and then they'd pick whichever one, and they vote, and then we would say, okay, you're doing this, your group is doing this, you're doing this, or whatever. Since we will just have 3 of you. I'm pretty sure Wayne will stick it out. Um, we may just have you three give a topic, and then we'll choose one and just have you all work as a team. Um, it's really the idea behind it is like a real world experience, as much as we can make it one. So working as a team, have last year we had one team that both of them started messing with the database and they deleted all their data. But it's like those like real world things that can happen. So you learn, okay, you should only have one person in the database. Um, like that's the idea behind it, right? Is to have that real world experience and to have something to show that you could show employers or whatever at the end. So yeah. But if y'all can't think of anything, I mean, we can definitely figure something out. But I'm sure y'all come up with a good topic. You know. And it's the more realistic it is, the better, obviously, because if you go to an employer with a to-do list app, I mean, anybody can do a to-do list app, you know what I mean? You just grab a video. But if it's something that you care about, then it's much more, you're going to be much more motivated to do it, and it'll be better. So last year we had one group did a language translation app, sort of like Duolingo or whatever. And the reason is because the guy who recommended it, Aaron, he is a teacher at a inner city school where most of his students spoke Spanish and he did not. And so he wanted to learn how to speak Spanish. So very cool,
Cool.
Yeah. We had one last year, and it's the funniest name. It was a plant, kind of like how to take care of your plant thing, but it was called Plant Parenthood, and I just loved it so much. Yeah,
That's amazing.
it was great. Yeah, I actually saw him at the mixer the other day. Yeah, it's a good guy. Um, Both of them, by the way, got jobs after boot camp, so there is success out there. So yeah.
That's good
Um,
to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that y'all's goal? Is to be employed?
Mine is eventually.
Okay.
I want to also finish my associates, so I'm going to maybe do freelance on the side until just so that I can get something under my belt while I'm finishing my associates. But I
Yeah.
also work full time for a school district, so there's juggling it all at this point.
Right. Right. I can move this over so I'm actually looking at y'all. How about that? There we go. Mike looking to the side. No, that's great. Where are you doing your associates at?
I haven't picked it back up yet. I was waiting until after I finish this, but I'm not sure since I'm close to the Tulsa area if I might go back to Tulsa Community College or Tulsa Tech. I'm not sure I don't have very many credits left to finish my associates, so
Gotcha. Okay. Are you close enough that you would go in person or you do it online?
I could do either.
Okay.
There's a Tulsa Tech in Owasso, and then there's Tulsa Community College is where I went originally, and it's in North Tulsa, so it's not too bad.
Okay. Cool. Tulsa's Techlahoma community is amazing. So
That's
yeah,
good to hear.
if you can get what is it? Getwit is really big.
Okay.
And then what's that? They changed the name Gradient, I think, is what it's called. If you look at any of the Tulsa channels on Slack, you can check it out. But they have a really good close-knit community and a lot of money because of the Kaiser Foundation,
Yeah.
which we do not have down here, unfortunately. So we're jealous of them for that. But yeah, a really great community up there.
Good.
Yeah,
I've got to have to get more involved once things
indeed.
slow down with classes and
Yeah,
kids and all of that. So
yep, indeed. Laurel, we don't have any money down here. Sorry, just a fact. Yeah,
That's a bummer.
yeah. We're trying. I mean, we're out there, but you know, I don't know. But no, we do. We have a great community as well, just a lot less funded. Um, but yeah, the meetup was really cool. It's the bar. It was at a bar called something. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it was like an old speakeasy, I think is what they said. There's like a
Mhm.
door that you don't see, and there's like a moon on the wall, and you push the moon, and the door opens, and then like you go in. Yeah, it was very crazy. Yeah.
Was that in Tulsa?
No, that was here in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool. And then it was like the bar was in the middle, and it was just a big circle, and so I probably just circled like 20 times just talking to people. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And I'm glad they finally did it because the new board has been struggling a lot because of I don't know if y'all were around when Emily was still on the board or the executive director. Probably not. So we had an executive director for several years, and the funding, like COVID funding, dried up, um, so we couldn't pay her anymore. And so she's went off and she's a speaker at conferences now. She's doing great things. But now the board, which is all volunteer, is trying to, do everything that she was doing. And so it's, it's hard because people got lives and nobody's getting paid, and yeah. So, but that's what we're here for, right? We're the community. We can make it happen. So anyway, yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, I guess I jabbered y'all enough. So have your evening. Yeah, check out the um, code stuff in the channel. Oh, and I'll post these routes. And then Saturday, we're gonna start building. It's gonna be good.
Sounds good. We'll
Cool.
see you Saturday.
All righty. Later.
Bye.
See you then. Bye.